Good morning, welcome to Morning Outlook. This is Kim speaking on Thursday the 31st of May. So what does the last day of May have in store for us? Well, euro dollar, it started off, this isn't obviously a completed candle yet. This is the weekly candle that we're looking at, a weekly chart. The bounce off that previous trend line seems to be holding. Things seem to be quietening down regard Italy, at least at the moment. So what we're seeing is a bit of a positive move here. The inflation figures came out higher than expected yesterday, so it puts pressure on normalization of the rates in the eurozone. So we could be in for a bigger correction. We're sitting, as you can see on this daily here, right bang on the trend line at the moment. A break above that trend line, well, it then looks like we could be on for the daily 21. We could be getting a proper reversal here. What's to stop us? Well, we'll see if this 4-hourly 50 does at the moment, and the trend line itself, it's only a sort of second or third attempt of that level sort of thing. First real attempt of what is a trend line, I should say. Whether we'll see that hold or if it starts breaking, well, as I say, really then we should be looking at long side trades. At the moment we've got daily pivot below us. Really, for me to be looking at that, I'd want to see a break of the trend that sits across the lows, these current lows at the moment. Otherwise, really, I'm sort of sitting there waiting to see if we get a push to the upside. If so, then it's sort of trading to see if we will move towards that the bigger daily target there of the 21. Okay, the pound. Pound yesterday, almost a bullish Orami, funny old move really. Things are a bit different with the pound, but it's still seeing that possibly a bit of a softening with the euro, with the US dollar rather, pushing through here. You see its trend line really that I drew yesterday. Really, we should just be looking for that, and below that it becomes probably bearish. Above it, well, it's putting high lows, high highs in this intermediate time frame. And maybe we should be looking towards that 6200 if we start seeing it push up. One thing is the sort of momentum behind it is very flat or slow relatively. Yesterday, lots and lots of chop through most of it. We've seen a bigger push up this morning than we did for a large part of yesterday. So it has the potential to push up there. I can't really get too involved in short trades until it breaks this trend line. At the moment, as I say, from an intermediate point of view, it does look like it's pushing up higher. Looking at the dollar yen, well, dollar yen, it saw a bit of a bounce yesterday. It's now probably gaining strength in its own right, effectively, as opposed to anything else, potentially anyway. But we'll see how this moves out. It's a bit odd. We've had risk on, risk off, and then back risk is back on. Maybe we'll see. But here we could probably be looking at as a decent trend line that runs down, maybe from the highs here across. So we're looking somewhere in that region for the trend line of alongside. Well, needs to break that, the 21 moving average really. Otherwise, it could be a short candidate back down towards the previous lows there. It's at the moment it's all over its pivot at the moment. If it's again, you could be drawing on the short term the trend line across the lows here, and if it breaks out, well, that may sort of suggest further downside. If it's continue to push up, well, that then the long side may prevail. So it's a bit of a mess there. Maybe a bit of sort of slow push up. Has got a weekly pivot still up there as a potential target, but the moves are maybe quite sluggish. Aussie dollar. Big bullish engulfing yesterday. Does look like it could see some follow through in terms of this move. it's already, if I sort of come back to that daily for a moment, it's already putting higher lows in there and higher highs on this bigger picture. It did sort of drop off a little bit when you come down to the 4 hourlies. It's sort of pitched it and put a lower high in, effectively. That moved down, but it does look relatively bullish back towards the monthly pivot at the moment. It's looks certainly like it's heading in that direction, and as I say, could be up for the monthly pivot at some point. Has got an untouched daily pivot below us at the moment. Maybe a break of the lows there would confirm that, but not give us anything in of a trade on it. But for the bigger time frames, I would be looking long side on that at the moment. Canadian dollar. Well, a bit of a surprise with the data yesterday, a bit more of a hawkish statement coming out there. We're still in this sort of chop zone. We're back in this chop zone at the moment. There's a bearish pivot swing sitting in there. This could be, it could see more strength in this Canadian dollar, and it continue to move to the downside. Looking at that, the announcement yesterday just literally just pitched through very hawkish tones there, or pretty hawkish tones, suggesting that we may see interest rates as early as July maybe. So it's well, consolidating at the moment. We could see a continuation of that. It could just go back into a bit of a chop pattern. We have got the daily pivot above us at the moment, which may be a bit of a draw to the upside. At which time decision would have to be considered whether to look for the short side if it did do that. Problem, of course, with that is it'll have put a higher low in by that time, so maybe worth just avoiding as ever with the Canadian dollar for now. So there we go. News-wise today, we have just looking through his news. We got at 9:30. We've got net lending to individuals UK. We get slight volatility, but nothing much from that generally. You've got the CPI flash estimate at 10 o'clock for the Eurozone. That could give us a bit more of a kicker today. We've seen a lot of higher inflation numbers coming through. If it was higher than the 1.6 projected, that could certainly see a move in the markets there for the euro. Or if it's significantly lower, it would be a shock. I think if it's significantly lower, it's most likely to come out higher if anything. We've got the Canadian GDP coming out 130. It's a monthly figure, so it doesn't have a lot of weighting, but may just help the Canadian dollar further. And then beyond that, some core price index, PCE, personal consumption expenditure figures coming out there at 130 US. Personal spending, we got a bit of volatility last month on those, and we could see it again if they vary too much. A couple of FOMC speakers speaking. Oh, sorry, I should have mentioned the crude oil inventories at 4 o'clock. Now that's starting to give a bit more volatility again as prices have shoved up a little bit. So at 4 o'clock that will come in, but then back to those FOMC speakers at 5:45 and 6 o'clock. Now, obviously after our normal trading time in the UK here. They are due to speak at the Florida Prosperity Partnership annual statewide training conference. Yeah, okay, right. Maybe not see a lot of movement there then. Right. The other one's due to speak at the Economic and Outlook Monetary Policy and Forecasters Club in New York luncheon. Right. Have a great one. I'll be back tomorrow. Bye for now.